the former chief of a nation's police force. Men once in charge of nearly 200,000 officers did not fall to a complex criminal network or a coordinated paramilitary strike, but rather, his life ended with a single shot during what early reports had casually labeled a routine burn. Over the next few minutes, we relive the career path of Daniel Kumalo, the fictional ex-police commissioner whose storied career shaped the security landscape of his country, and then examine the puzzling circumstances of his final night. We'll deconstruct the 3 critical security oversights that made it possible for such a devastating breach to occur, even in the home of someone who had long lived under high-level protection. But as we explore who stood to gain the most from his death, consider this. If someone with his experience could be caught off guard at home, what major safety gap are ordinary people most likely to overlook every day? Before his rise to the helm of the National Police, Kumalo was known as a disciplined and relentless figure in the struggle-era underground. That history made the quiet, abrupt nature of his death all the more difficult to accept. He survived turbulent political years, violent crackdowns, and assassination attempts, only to be killed in what seemed like a mundane criminal encounter. His rise through the policing hierarchy was almost cinematic, marked by strict discipline, strategic thinking, and a reputation for taking down well-connected criminal factions without hesitation. Admirers praised his intensity, but that same determination generated formidable enemies, some buried deep within the service, others operating comfortably on the outside. As commissioner, Kumalo instituted broad anti-corruption reforms that earned him the public's admiration as much as fierce internal resentment. He pushed out corrupt offices, dismantled criminal pipelines within state institutions, and refused to bend in the face of political pressure. Ironically, the very man charged with the protection of national leaders often belittled his own security. He often refused additional bodyguards, citing that overtly visible protection simply placed distance between him and the citizens he was serving. That decision, noble as it may have been, left a vulnerability that a patient, well-trained adversary could exploit. In an instant, according to reports, the quiet evening tranquility of being at home gave way to violence. Only one intruder took aim, easily passing outdated alarm systems and perimeters with little resistance. The encounter inside was sudden, calculated, and too precise for a burglary gone wrong. To worsen matters, the initial emergency response was lately tragic gap that could cost him his life. The ease of the attack, coupled with efficiency, spoke not of a panicked criminal but a craftsman good, enough to make the killing look like simple crime. The public reacted at once viscerally. Shock gave place to outrage. Suspicion mounted quickly. Many found it incomprehensible that such an immediately recognizable figure could die in such an abnormal way. The official investigation clung initially to the robbery story, the most convenient and least reassuring explanation. The community pressed for the assignment of a specialized unit, arguing that in the execution-style killing lay unmistakable signs of a targeted operation. The early hours now saw the omission of key investigative measures and the possible loss of potential evidence, perhaps forever. The first major security failure centered on Kumalo's perimeter. His home's exterior defenses were in place, but had not been designed to delay a determined threat. Overgrown foliage created natural hiding spots. Cameras pointed at wide areas rather than choke points. Gaps around service entrances offered easy routes of approach. What should have been a multi-layered delay system became a quick silent entry point. An attacker who should have been stalled for minutes slipped in within seconds. But the most unnerving element wasn't the walls or cameras. It was the people inside them. Over time, Kumalo had hired household workers, landscapers, and maintenance personnel with extensive access to sensitive routines and structural weaknesses. There is no evidence of maliciousness on their part, but every confidence he exhibited in others provided an opportunity for anyone looking to get insider information. Professional attackers seldom have to knock down doors when they can study day-to-day habits of a target. Another possibility overshadowed the investigation. Kumalo had kept exhaustive records during his anti-corruption campaign's files that implicated influential people and dismantled lucrative criminal pipelines. After his death, the first thing reportedly combed through wasn't his valuables, but his personal documents. That detail alone shifted suspicion toward a motive far beyond theft. Maybe an attempt at erasing evidence, silencing a future whistleblower, or protecting those threatened by what he knew. Security experts from abroad took notice as well. Kumalo had collaborated with international agencies on initiatives that fight cross-border crime, and his death sent out a chilling message of how far organized networks might reach. It underscored the vulnerability of anyone who challenges entrenched corruption. Those who fight hardest often find themselves standing alone at the very moment they need protection most. The forensic clues, or lack thereof, painted an even clearer picture. The crime scene was suspiciously clean of fingerprints or stray evidence. Only one shell casing remained, as if left on purpose. Analysts pointed out that such surgical precision signal professional training. Random intruders simply do not clean up after themselves, nor do they choose minimalist points of impact. nor do they disregard valuables that could be in quick reach and easily stolen. Everything about the scene contradicted the botched robbery label. Early reports conflicted with each other as the media made a mad dash for answers. As soon as the investigative journalists started pointing out inconsistencies, the pressure on officials grew too great to ignore. Shortly afterward, a far more competent task team was assigned. But by then, much of the crucial early trail had gone cold. But one of the biggest contributors to Kumalo's vulnerability came not from technical but from emotional fatigue. After fighting off the threats for decades, he wanted a simple, normal life. That wanting manifested in Tono's personal security, relaxed routines, and a desire to give his family a sense of normalcy. For many high-risk people, this shift is common and tragically dangerous. His death forced conversations across the country over how retired leaders, investigators, and reformers are protected. Many argued that anyone who once disrupted major criminal enterprises remains a lifelong target. Calls for mandatory post-service protection grew louder, acknowledging threats do not retire simply because a leader steps out of office. Perhaps the clearest evidence that this was no ordinary break-in is that nothing of significant value was taken. Jewelry, electronics, cash, everything remained untouched. The only asset targeted was Kumalo himself. That single fact, more than any other, dismantles the robbery theory entirely. The takeaway lessons from this tragedy run far and wide, well beyond one man or one profession. A strong perimeter, a carefully vetted inner circle, and unwavering personal vigilance form the foundation of meaningful security. Weakening any one of these layers leaves anyone, public figure or private citizen, exposed. Ultimately, Kumalo is a cautionary tale about the cost of integrity and how one must constantly evolve to remain secure against ever-sophisticated threats. His demise was rather not an act of destiny, but three preventable vulnerabilities that came together. Everyone is at risk from those who operate in the shadows and can find ways to secure their own safety by recognizing these patterns.